Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Tally006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going this week? I'm getting used to doing that
now. I'm doing pretty good. It was a good week of wrestling, and yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So just before we jump into the show, I just want to remind everybody that we are live on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. If you use any of those obscure podcast platforms, you know we're already on there. So, but let's plug the big ones. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, following the channel, leaving us a 5-star rating. It'll help us launch up those podcast charts and get us more listens, get us more views, and yeah, let's grow this podcast that we got going on here. 34 weeks in, let's keep it going. So we got a really good show coming up for you guys this week. We have the Jericho 30-year anniversary show on Dynamite. It was a great show. We'll get into that a little bit later. We also have a surprisingly good episode of AEW Dark, as well as another kind of stinker episode of BTE. But before we get into all of that, we have some news coming out of the Vanilla brand. This is something that we haven't been able to talk about in a while. They've been lacking on their newsworthiness, but this week we got something. So why don't you say we get right into it?
Let's do it.
So I can't remember when this exactly came out, when this was officially presented to the world. But we've talked about this before, where WWE, the Vanilla brand themselves, Vince McMahon, was threatening, maybe threatening is not the right word, but like cracking down, banning the use of third-party websites, basically for talent to monetize themselves outside of the WWE, be it YouTube, Instagram, mainly Twitch. I think Twitch was the big one. But essentially the talent weren't going to be able to use these off WWE avenues to generate revenue for themselves. And there was a big backlash. We talked about it many weeks ago. It seemed absurd that this was even a thing. You know what I mean? That this was even being thought about. But the story progresses to the point where we have the official statement regarding the ban. It reads, and this is quoted, you guys watching on YouTube will be able to follow along here, but much like Disney and Warner Brothers, WWE creates, promotes, and invests in its intellectual property, i.e. the stage names of performers like The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Big E, and Braun Strowman. Now, just to pause the quote for a second, I've never seen any of these guys on any of these platforms. So it's odd that they use these guys as examples. All right? So just keep that in mind. Continuing the quote, it says, "It is the control and exploitation of these characters that allows WWE to drive revenue, which in turn enables the company to compensate performers at the highest levels in the sports entertainment industry. Notwithstanding the contractual language, it is imperative for the success of our company to protect our greatest assets and establish partnerships with third parties and company-wide on a company-wide basis, rather than at the individual level, which as a result will provide more value for all involved." So that's a snippet. I thought there was some interesting pieces in there, being the examples that they used and the word exploitation. But basically what this is saying is that WWE is taking over their contracted talents' third-party websites and basically taking their revenue for themselves and then cutting them back in. So WWE talent will be allowed to Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, OnlyFans, you know, for some of the thirst traps out there. But they're going to be able to use these, you know, platforms, which is great. But WWE's taking the money and then giving them a percentage back. To me, this is outrageous. Especially since most of these WWE talents are using their real names for these. But what are your thoughts on all this? This is absurd to me.
I have some mixed feelings about it. There's in a lot of jobs, in my job, for example, I had to sign contracts that essentially prevent me from, you know, conflict of interest type activity.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have a tough time seeing where that conflict of interest is here. It's not like the Twitches and whatnot. These are, you know, competitors or anything like that. And to make a comment on these names that you're talking about, who's on Twitch in WWE? Is it the big names?
AJ's the biggest names. AJ's the biggest name that I've seen on Twitch that regularly uses Twitch. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's kind of the lower to mid Carter guys that are doing it.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I didn't know about AJ, Adam Cole. Yeah, like he's a big deal, right? But it doesn't seem like these guys are doing it for the money.
Oh, definitely not.
And I mean, if we compare them to some of the more popular people on Twitch, like they're probably not making, like they're not going to make a living on it. I wouldn't think. And, you know, what could they make in a year? And why would WWE care about that?
Right.
Like I guess why you're upset about it is they're literally taking the money out of somebody's pocket and keeping it for themselves. A billion, multi-billion dollar business.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, essentially, it's just, I don't even know how I feel about this. I just know I'm pissed off. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like you say, for $1 billion company to try to take, you know, scraps of money and take it from a talent, you know, just because they want to engage and get closer to their fan base. Like, it's outrageous to me.
And where I see this being wrong is, let's say AJ Styles has a ring in his garage.
Yes.
And starts filming himself wrestling in it. That's a conflict of interest.
Putting on live shows and wrestling, you know, his buddies or something, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that I could see being a problem. But like, AJ sits in his chair and he talks with his fans. AJ's not even playing video games. He does sometimes, but the majority of his stream is just Q&As. Talking with fans. They ask him about stuff, you know, and he talks about it. He's
and the more people he connects with is a benefit to WWE.
Yeah. So
merchandise and
yeah, it's odd. So this leads up to someone we brought up while we were talking about this a few weeks ago, which I now know her proper name as Soraya. It wasn't Serena. It was the gypsy name of Soraya Knight, aka Paige. I messed that up. I will take fault. I forgot her name. I'm sorry, Paige. Forgive me. But, you know, when you talk about who is actually killing it on Twitch and who's making money on Twitch, it's Paige. Paige has been killing it the last couple months since she like really got into streaming. You know what I mean? I've tuned in And I mean, she's constantly thanking people for subs, gifting subs, and for every sub that a Twitch partner gets, they get a percentage of that. So I know she's making money. I feel like people donate to her, but I don't know how much it is. You know, I'm not hearing her read out like $100 donations like someone like Dynamite or something. You know what I mean? Who just like make bank. So I can't say that she's making a lot of money, but after this,
she donated a lot of her.
Yeah, mainly I think that's what it is that any donations that she does get, she turns around and puts it into charities or group organizations, you know, stuff like that. So I don't think she's making this money for herself. She does sell her merch on there, so I mean, I'm sure that's for her, but that's a different story. But the reason I bring up Paige is that she's kind of the one taking the lead here, and the day after this big WWE wide statement goes out about them taking over everybody's third party activities, she tweets out, and I have the tweet up on the screen right now, learned a lot about unionism today. So, I mean, this has been a topic throughout the wrestling world for, I'm assuming since the beginning, since the days of Vince Sr. You know what I mean? Like, wrestlers, independent contractors, as they are sometimes referred to as, banding together, unionizing to help control some of these issues. What are your thoughts on wrestlers perhaps unionizing? And I'd have to assume that much like the grocery store, like I used to be a part of the grocery store union, UFCW or something, I think it was called. It was the union that I was in. I worked at Safeway for a little while. I was part of this union. I worked at Co-op. I was a part of the same union. So if wrestlers unionize, I gotta feel like AEW, WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, everybody will be a part of this if this is where it goes, right? So what are all your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's like everything, there's pros and cons. I wouldn't say union is the answer, but it will solve some issues for sure.
It may create more though.
I can see it, just like every other profession with unions. There could possibly be a time where there's no wrestling. Lockouts. That would be a possibility. So, like I say, it's pros and cons. I wouldn't say, yeah, let's do the union thing because it's gonna, make it better.
So yeah, let's quickly talk about these pros and cons. Like I think one of the biggest pros of this is that there would be definite levels in wage increments depending on experience. You know what I mean? You may not, it would have to be worked out, but I mean, just like in hockey, when you're in the league for so many years, you are owed a pay increase. It doesn't matter if you scored 50 goals the year before or 20 goals the year before. I do believe at one point Chris Thorburn was getting paid by the Jets about $4 million, and all that guy was really good for was a sick mullet and getting in a fight once in a while. Do you know what I mean? So
Scorburn? You don't get a name like that and not do something.
Yeah, that's only when I'm controlling the sticks, though. So there would be that kind of consistency, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. You wouldn't have these wage gaps. Orange Cassidy, most over guy in the business, should be making quadrillions of dollars, but, he's still relative nobody. But, there would be some consistency, I feel. That's a bad example. I don't know why I brought up Orange Cassidy, but You know, guys like Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, who have been in the industry for a gazillion years and are awesome workers, always showed up. Everything they were given, all the shit they were given, they turned to gold. They didn't make any money, I feel like. I mean, they made their money. They were well off, but I mean, those guys should be making, I'm not going to say John Cena money, but, you know, Dolph Ziggler money at least. You know what I mean? So there's that consistency that I feel like unions would bring. But definitely the biggest con is I could totally see there be a lockout at some point.
I think it would be hard to do what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I think it'd be hard because a lot of wrestling is, it's not whether you're good or not. It's not whether you're performing. And if we want to, you know, put this in the same conversation as something like hockey where, you know, you're scoring goals and getting assists, you're probably playing pretty well. But what does that mean in the wrestling business? You can have a guy who's killing it and not even wrestle at all, you know, if he's given an certain opportunity. So it's like, who does the boss like that day and who's getting the push because somebody wants to do it? And then it's also, we base a lot of this on fans, right? So Orange Cassidy's killing it. We think he's doing well wrestling, but it's just the fans like him. And it could just be for any reason, right? If you think of, the image just came to my mind, the guy with no chin.
Ellsworth.
Yeah. Like, is he a good wrestler? Is he good at much? No, but he was so over at that time when he was with Carmella, right?
Right.
And no one could predict that. Is that worth money? It's hard to say. I think it'd be really hard to monetize and put sort of salary levels and whatnot. It'd be difficult. I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but I think it'd be difficult.
Well, I think that's where, you know, using the hockey analogy, you do have like bounties almost. You know, players are given bonus incentives. How do you translate that? Again, how do you translate that into wrestling? I don't know. You get an extra $1,000 that month if they chant Orange Cassidy for 30 seconds. Like, but I mean, I guess that's where merch sales.
But you know what? So like, the more we talk about this, I'm thinking the way that wrestling fans are, like, they would totally find these things out and they would do it on purpose just to pay somebody an outrageous amount of money for no good reason.
Right.
So I don't know that it would work, but
yeah, no,
I think the rules need to change. Something needs to change here.
I think Vince just needs to slow down and figure it out.
I'm wondering if this is even about the money.
It's all about
I wonder
control.
if this is more about, there's no WWE on any of this. Right? Like, we know that Vince doesn't like when his people are doing things that aren't under his umbrella.
Right. It's all about the control.
Yeah. I guess ultimately that's what that is. Yeah.
So that's a good point. So when this all takes effect, I should have mentioned this all takes effect in about a month. Sometime in November, this is all taking effect. All these people on Twitch and Instagram and stuff like that, they're going to have a WWE watermark on everything they post now, probably.
I'm sure someone will be doing all the graphics for them.
Yeah.
They won't have a choice.
I never really thought about it, but everybody under the WWE umbrella has WWE in their ads. And there's very few that don't, but I mean, they are special. You know, John Cena, AJ Styles, you know, guys of that caliber, but you know, it's Mandy Rhodes, WWE. You know what I mean? It used to be Paige, WWE, but now it's Saraya Knight because she's kind of going rogue on everything like that. So I never really thought about it, but you know, Big E, I think his ad is like WWE Big E or something like that. Like,
Right.
I bet you're right.
I know. I think this is going to work against them because I'm thinking about like somebody like AJ. Like now, when you have to do it because it's part of your job, or when you lose control of your own stuff, how much effort do you put into actually doing it now?
Right.
Like they did it because it was something fun for them to do, and now they're kind of taking the fun out of it.
Right.
But we should talk about AEW's take on this.
Well, yeah,
in the news, Tony Khan's been interviewed and asked what he thought about all of this and whether he'd be instituting some of the same kind of rules. Have you heard what Tony Khan's saying about this stuff?
I heard one snippet. I can't remember if that was after All Out or what, but I heard one snippet where he kind of says he's not really worried about it as long as everybody is, being respectful, not doing anything stupid, and not, openly trashing the product in any way. That's kind of all he was really worried about. Definitely was not worried about, money being taken away from him or anything like that. It just seemed like, we'll use Kip Sabian as an example because we've talked about him being on Twitch and it's kind of part of his character now. But, like as long as Kip's not on his stream making a fool of himself, and saying ignorant things, then yeah, by all means make your money. That's the sense I got in that little snippet.
Yeah, it's no matter where you go now, you represent the company.
Right.
And it's the same really for a lot of employees, I would think. Depending on kind of what your job is. The only thing I heard that Tony said is he probably wouldn't appreciate if the wrestlers were getting advertising in kind of circumventing AEW. So I think he used the example of, say they were getting a contract with Pepsi.
Right.
Or something like that, and advertising Pepsi on the stream. Like, I think he'd have a problem with that.
Or even
because I'm sure that's where they get a lot of their money from, right?
It's definitely TV advertising. Or you could do the opposite where, say, AEW is sponsored by Pepsi, but Kip Sabian's crushing back Cokes and getting Coke money. That would be a conflict of interest, right? So it's almost like, yeah, if you're going to get ad money, then AEW should be cut in. And it should be within AEW's already existing partnerships, maybe. But
yeah, so for me, it's I think WWE has some say, but to this degree where it's going to, where they control their accounts and everything, just put it in the contracts, in the, what do you call them, company rules, policies, that you conduct yourself like an idiot, it's grounds for firing. I'm sure it's already in there.
Oh, I'm sure it is too. We hear about, the wellness policy and stuff like that. I've seen it in other organizations as well. Like take the Call of Duty League that just started up this year, franchise league. Things got stiff, and there was a lot of Call of Duty pros that were fined a lot of money because they were talking shit about the game. I mean, rightfully so. Modern Warfare was not a good competitive game. And, in the most innocent of ways of saying that the game was bad, guys were getting fined like $5,000, which is a lot of money to a COD pro. They're not making millions of dollars. So it was a big deal this year. So yeah, and rightfully so. You can't be an AEW wrestler and then say, it's great working there, but fuck, the ring sucks. The refs suck. Like, you can't say that kind of stuff. I'm just making that up. I don't think the ring sucks, and the refs are definitely the best in the business. I'm just using it as an example.
Even Bryce?
Oh, fuck Bryce. Bryce can go to WWE anytime. I'm talking about the other guys, Aubrey, Turner.
I figured so. I thought I would ask you. Posey
deserves more Dynamite matches than Bryce. All right, well, that was a great conversation. That went a little bit longer than I thought, but I think it needed to be said, so lots of good stuff there. Let's move on to this week's episode of Being the Elite. This was episode 224, Just Kenny Omega. Another great name. I know exactly, the bit that's coming, kind of thing, and I'm excited to watch this episode. What were your overall thoughts on the episode?
I don't know. I didn't like it. I wasn't into it. And I don't know if that's just because the last couple of weeks have been stinkers, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. It might just be me. Did you like this one?
No, I didn't like this episode at all. Okay. I'm just saying the name, like, I could see the potential in the episode, and it just didn't live up to the potential. Again, these cold opens, like we do cold opens on this show every once in a while, basically every episode, for our viewers on YouTube. And I mean, our cold opens are short. If it's a minute and a half, that's a long one. Do you know what I mean? And they're you can think they're funny or not, but I mean, they're funny to us, and that's really all that matters when it comes down to it. But these guys are pulling off like 5-6 minute cold opens. Like, that's an episode in itself.
That's Grey's Anatomy stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, holy shit, man. They haven't even seen the opening credits of But another long one here. Colt Cabana, as Michael Nakazawa's talking to Seidel. Seidel's confusing him for Michael Nakazawa. The conversation goes on forever, like I said, but he finally convinces Seidel that he's Colt Cabana. So he goes off, he's got to go get ready for a match or whatever. Seidel turns around, and then there's Michael Nakazawa. And now Nakazawa has to convince Seidel that he's Nakazawa. I mean, clever. It was funny, but way too long.
Yeah.
It definitely could have been cut down. And then, things don't really get any better after that.
It doesn't. Like, I'm looking at what we got. Like, we got a Me Phone 2 spot.
Yeah, where was the soap opera? I was waiting for the second part of the soap opera.
Dark Order, it was just weak. It was just weak.
They're losing their buzz, definitely. The spot with Silver and Angels trying to recruit Sammy, it's like they didn't plan that at all. It's like Brandon came to him, he's like, Sammy's gonna walk down the hall and you guys try to recruit him. Go. Like, Silver and Angels were not on the same page. I mean, you could really tell Silver's missing Reynolds at this point. Because he worked. Right. They know how to work off of each other, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's brilliant in its own way that Silver and Angels can't work together. But it's just coming off bad. I did like how Ten's doing bench presses with like all this weight on. And then Brody gets to put some extra plates on, and then Anna Jay just does it like wicked easily. I mean, you could tell the guys are standing there to help her out, but I mean, they filmed it perfectly. It looked great, and it made me pop. That was probably the only pop of the episode, really.
Yeah, for me it was the Jurassic Express with Tay Conte, which we've seen before.
Right.
They're at the bar, and for some reason, Eddie Kingston's in the background.
Just
And I don't
creeping
know
on
if this
everybody.
was planned or he just kind of got in the shot and went with it. But the funniest part was when Anna Jay walks in to take Conte away. And I think she says something like, Jurassic Express are just a bunch of losers. And then you look over at Eddie Kingston and he mouths, "What a bitch."
I didn't
And like
catch
you
that.
could just totally tell that's what he was saying, right?
That's funny.
But yeah, no, this was not a good episode.
I guess one of the biggest things to come out of this episode is that Brandon Cutler apparently goes out of his way and buys the Being the Elite World Championship. And that begs the question, what's this for? So are we going to get these, kind of like during the beginning of the pandemic era, we were getting some awesome matches on BTE? Is this something that's just going to be defended on BTE? Is this a glorified 24/7 title, which they were kind of alluding to with the jokes that they were, what is this? And,
yeah, I totally forgot about this. I'm glad you brought this up because if I understand this correctly, this isn't just going to be matches, which I think opens this up for like crazy good stuff on BTE. Like
we could be,
could be anything.
It could be a game of Yahtzee. They could, Brandon's got his Dungeons and Dragons stream that he does. Whoever wins, I don't know. Do you win Dungeons and Dragons? I think everybody loses in Dungeons and Dragons, but essentially the belt could be on the line.
Is that what they call Dungeons and Dragons players losers?
I guess so, because everybody loses.
That makes sense.
It's been 10 days. Nobody's won yet. Like, I don't get it. That's not my scene. But, like, yeah, you're right. Essentially, they could be playing freaking Mario Kart for the belt. Yeah. So.
It doesn't even have to be games, really. Could be could be a pose off or, I don't know.
Staring contest.
I'm sure
thumb
they're going to
wrestles.
figure out some funny stuff.
Yeah. I can't help but feel that Hangman Adam Page is going to have this belt for a while because he won it in a whiskey drinking contest of some sort.
I like it.
That's gold right there.
You're already writing it.
I'm already, well, I mean, you know me. But yeah, so again, weak episode. It's unfortunate. It's 2 in a row now. 3 out of 4. 3 out of the last 4 for sure. Just, I want to stay away from trash because I love these guys. These guys have brought me so much entertainment the last 2 years that, I was definitely starving for. But I don't know. They're losing their touch a little bit. I mean, if they're not careful, we might have to cut them from the show. We might not even have to cover this anymore if it's going to be like this.
I don't know. I'm sure they're super busy. Right, especially Nick with having a kid and
Sure.
whatnot. We don't even see him on the show anymore, barely. So, it's Brandon doing Brandon things, and best friends can't even come up with a bit. So
right, they weren't even on the episode this week, were they? I don't remember seeing them.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
The episode all wraps up though. I should mention this because the title was called Kenny Only. And Hangman and Cutler have a conversation outside of the arena. Basically, this is taking place right after the announcement that Kenny was going to be in the tournament. And they just use this avenue to just really grind in the fact that Kenny's in the tournament and Hangman's not. And Hangman kind of has this weird lucid dream and he gets in an argument with Brandon about it, but yeah, I don't know. Again, it went too long. It wasn't funny. It wasn't even emotional in any way. Like I know you're in this tournament. Like there's no way you're not. So this whole sketch just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. We've said this before. I think what it is things need to change. It needs to progress. We're still just getting drunk Hangman. and it hasn't changed.
Right.
We need to see something different.
Yeah, it's about time. So yeah, not the best outing from the boys at Being the Elite, but yeah, like you said, they're busy. Got to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's hard work running a wrestling promotion. Never mind doing a YouTube channel. All right, let's move on to AEW Dark. This was episode 55. What did we have this week?
This was another big show. I think last week we had a small show at 9 matches. This week we got 11. This week we had Ricky Starks on comms, a shirtless Ricky Starks. I didn't understand that. As soon as I turned on Dark, I turned it right off. I'm like, I'm not watching this. But I'll just go quickly through the matches and we'll talk about it. So in the first match, we had Kenzie Paige versus Brandy Rhodes. Brandy Rhodes winning that one, and a bit of after the match stuff with Anna Jay and Red Velvet, so we might talk about that after. In match number 2, Jurassic Express versus Ray Rosas. I listened for the pronunciation. And Eric Watts, Jurassic Express going over in that one. Match number 3, Chaos Project go over on Anthony Bowens and Lee Johnson. Match number 4, Will Hobbs beats Ryzen. Match number 5, John Silver fighting a singles match where I don't think I've seen him in, against QT Marshall. And John Silver picking up the win in this one. I probably wouldn't have picked that, but John Silver winning that one. Match number 6, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., the new Hollywood Blondes, getting their first win as a tag team versus Cesar Bonani and David Ali. Did I say that right? Bonani? Yeah,
I think so.
In match number 7, Skylar Moore versus Big Swole. Big Swole going over in that one. And then the big match here in match number 8, Matt Sydal versus Michael Nakazawa. Sydal winning that one. Match number 9, Eddie Kingston winning over Mbadu. In match number 10, Sean Dean versus Angelico. Angelico winning that one. And in the main event, the Lucha Brothers beat Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela not doing so well after
they
kind
were
of a hot start.
Yeah, they were hot for a while, but so yeah, let's go back to the top here and just quickly talk about what happened after the match here. Anna Jay coming out, attacking Brandy like she's been doing often, but this time Red Velvet comes out and kind of comes to the aid of Brandy. I can't help but feel like perhaps Red Velvet might be joining the Nightmare family in a way, or at least filling in the void of a female tag team now that Allie's gone missing.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice Allie hasn't been? No, Allie hasn't been on a camera in like a month. I feel like.
Wow, is she injured? It's weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good fit. I think Red Velvet would work. I think we've always been saying that Brandy's not good by herself. Right. But she was good with somebody to work off of.
Yeah, for sure.
She was good with Allie. So, yeah, I think it'd be a good fit.
Yeah, I hope this leads to Red Velvet maybe getting a microphone in her hands. I'd like to see that aspect of her of her workload. You know what I mean? Like, we've really only seen her wrestle, and we know she's a great wrestler. She's been doing an amazing job jobbing out. No pun intended, or no offense to her. But this girl knows how to work, and I'd just like to see if she has the whole package. So get Red Velvet on the mic. Something else I wanted to touch on here was the John Silver QT Marshall match. When I saw that John Silver was winning this match, like I read the spoilers first, I guess you could say, but I had to watch to see how this all went down, and dirty finish. Let's just get that out of the way. That makes sense. It makes sense that that's how John Silver gets to this win. But the match itself was freaking amazing. Like, we're talking about two workhorses here, and everything was clean. Timing was amazing. I mean, I'm all for John Silver going solo if it's going to lead to awesome matches like this. He can definitely work alone.
Yeah, and I mean, even before the ending part, there was a few times where Silver could have got it.
Right.
You know, like it was a close, 2 count there. I thought the same thing. This was a really good match. Probably the match of Dark. Probably like this one the best.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman. You know, give these guys a name already. I love that they're together. They work well together. We got to see them get their first wins, respectively. As a tag team, give these guys a name. Stop bringing them out separate. That kind of pissed me off. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are a tag team. Let's just roll with it now and let's get it done. The other two came out together. They're jobbers. You know, the established tag team that's going over are coming out separate. Doesn't make sense to me. Give these guys a name. If it's not the new Hollywood Blondes, then, you know, something. But just give them a name and have these guys have their own music, and let's get them coming out, because it's time to push these guys. I feel like they can make a little bit of a run in the tag team division. Especially on Dark.
I wonder whose choice that is. Is it their choice? Do they really want to be singles competitors?
I mean, that's possible too.
But I mean, they're good together. Griff Garrison's really good on Sammy Guevara's YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't checked that out, go check out Sammy's YouTube channel, his vlog. Griff Garrison, he can act. Like he's got some chops.
He took a minor in theater.
I feel like he was a drama geek. Yeah.
He's the Ivy Leaguer or something is his moniker. So maybe when he was at Princeton, he was dabbling in the drama club, hanging out with those drama girls. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about this episode of Dark?
Just after the second match, there was what I thought was like a really beautiful video package.
Yes.
Where Jericho was sitting in a room and talking about, you know, the beginning of his career and how him and Luther were kind of together, and it just really made me think that, you know, Jericho is just a true Canadian. I feel like that it felt very Canadian to me that he could sit there and talk about himself, and he didn't. And the fact that I feel like he probably chose this match. This was probably all his idea for Dynamite. And I just thought it was a beautiful tribute to someone he obviously respects and admires, and maybe felt like he didn't get his chance. And I just thought it's really good. So if you haven't seen this video package by Chris Jericho, go check it out. And it's also kind of a promo for what we saw on Wednesday. Yeah,
for sure. If you've listened to the two-parter Talk is Jericho episode with Luther, they talk about this crazy wild ride of a career that Luther had. You know, from being the top guy in all of Japan to basically running his own promotion in South Africa, of all places, to almost getting a WCW contract, almost getting an ECW contract, almost getting a WWE contract, but just luck never on his side, being, you know, whatever. WCW was closing down when his contract was offered to him. ECW couldn't pay him. Otherwise, he would have had a contract. And WWE was just, very, very unfortunate circumstances every time you deal with WWE when it comes to bringing in new talent. I think what was unlucky is that they had the idea of him being with Gangrel, but then Gangrel got hurt or something. Or no, they were going to put him with Gangrel. Edge and Christian came up. They gave that spot to them. And then he was going to get put in with a new young up-and-comer who ended up sucking. And they got rid of the young kid, get rid of this guy too kind of thing. And the contracts never came to fruition. So it was a really... It's quite the story that they tell on Talk is Jericho about all this bad luck. And finally, luck is on Luther's side because the day before the pandemic hits, he puts pen to paper with AEW. He signed his contract on March 10th, I think is what it was. And March 11th, March 12th is when the country shut down. So, wow. If that was a day later, maybe Tony Khan doesn't present the contract kind of thing, and maybe he has to wait a little bit longer. So, yeah, it was a really amazing story. It's a 2-part episode. Go check them out. The way Chris Jericho talks about Luther on the podcast, in this promo, in this video package, you can tell the admiration he has. Luther was already in the business for 2 or 3 years before Jericho got in there, in the Calgary area and stuff like that. And, he was kind of that first person to, show him the ropes, no pun intended. Luther's mom was sewing up all of Jericho's gear for him. Anytime Jericho had ideas for gear, it was Luther's mom who sewed him up and got him to him and stuff like that. So very integral, person in Jericho's life. Maybe we're not celebrating 30 years of Jericho without Luther being there in the beginning. So yeah, I like how you put that. It was just a very beautiful video package done for Luther. It was for Dr. Luther. And Jericho pulls it off. It's awesome. All right, let's get right into this week's power rankings. This is October 7th, 2020. What do we got?
There's no changes.
No changes?
You just want to cut in last week's...
Yeah. And splice. No.
All right.
Run through it.
Talk about it. We still have our 2 champions, Jon Moxley, Brody Lee, on October 7th. Lance Archer still the number 1 contender. Brian Cage, MJF, Cody, and Scorpio Sky round out the top 5. In the women's division, again, no change. Hikaru Shida, our champ. Nyla Rose, the number 1 contender, followed by Big Swole, Penelope Ford, Abaddon, and Britt Baker. And in the tag team division, FTR still the champ. As of October 7th, Best Friends, the number 1 contenders, followed by Young Bucks, Natural Nightmares, Butcher and the Blade, and Proud and Powerful.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's for all those listening, like our episodes come out on Saturday, but these power rankings were as of Wednesday, October 7th. So just keep that in mind. A little bit of a spoiler.
FTR 10-0. They've already had 10 matches.
That's crazy. They cheat. They don't
follow
had
one
any rules.
Big match.
All right, let's get right into Wednesday night Dynamite again. October 7th, 2020. Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, and of course, this is the 30-year celebration. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks in the build up to this show. This whole episode was littered with celebrity shout outs. They opened up the show with this awesome package. It's basically the video package that they showed on Road to Jericho 30 on Tuesday night, which is really well done. We got Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Scorpio Sky, Hager, Proud and Powerful. Everybody's there. They're telling their Jericho stories, what they mean to him, what his career has meant to them. So that was a really cool way to open up the show and get this celebration started. But Yeah, like I said, the whole episode was littered with celebrities giving their shout outs. Every bunch of people filmed little shout outs for Jericho. And yeah, it was really cool. It's not something, I don't think this has really ever been done in this magnitude, I guess you can say. Like, have you ever seen a 30-year celebration for anybody in the wrestling business?
No, I don't think I have. We were kind of wondering how they were going to do this, seeing as though a majority of Jericho's career was in other companies that were probably not going to authorize them to run their footage. So yeah, I thought the beginning was really great, where they just had AEW roster talking about what they thought of Jericho and his career. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was really a cool way to start to show off. And yeah, like you said, they didn't show any footage really of any previous. You know, there's no Japan stuff, there's no ECW stuff, there's definitely no WWE stuff. They didn't show anything. They barely showed some AEW stuff. Like, there was no real highlights being shown except for in this little beginning, you know. So yeah, it was a cool way to start the show. But as always, as I've mentioned, that AEW is always good for, we start the show off with a match, and we had a killer match to start this show off. We got FTW champion Brian Cage versus Will Hobbs, and this match was for the FTW World Championship.
Was it? Okay.
It was, yeah. That's what it was being billed as. Brian Cage comes out. He had his own lower third. It was orange and black, and it says at the top, first ever defense of the FTW World Championship. This is just reminding of me of how much I just despise this title. You know, no offense to Taz. I understand that this is like your life's work or something like that, however you want to put it over. But I mean, he almost buries the title himself on commentary here, because he's like, it's not recognized by any promotions. It's
well, and it was already buried on BTE earlier in the week. So
yeah, so it's
you got us a belt. Like, there's so many worthless belts in AEW already.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. But as for this match itself, I was really impressed with this match. This is the first time we're really getting to see Will Hobbs work. You know what I mean? He's jobbed out to Darby. He's jobbed out to Orange Cassidy. He's been doing a good job on Dark. He's been getting his chance on Dark. He's got himself a couple wins. But I mean, Dynamite, this is the big show. You're going up. This is a title match, essentially, even though it doesn't mean anything and it's not real. But you know, he came out to prove himself, and I thought he did an awesome job.
Yeah, and Brian Cage, kind of the perfect competitor for a Will Hobbs.
Yeah.
Being as they're both very thick boys, and was a hard-hitting one. And yeah, I didn't get to see the whole match, but yeah, what I saw was really good, and we even got some after the match action going on.
Yeah, for sure. So Brian Cage goes over. For him to plant Will Hobbs with the drill claw, I thought was impressive. I mean, Brian Cage he's a gigantic man. He's got muscles on muscles on muscles. But still, Will Hobbs has got to be 330, however big he is. I'm not sure what he's being billed as, but he's got to be 300 pounds. And Brian Cage lifts him up, flips him around, pounds him with the drill claw. Impressive. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, basically, but even before the music, Brian Cage's music can start, Taz is already yelling at the production truck to turn the music off because he has something to say. It looks like Starks and Cage are gonna, attack Will Hobbs, but Taz stops him. Basically cuts a little bit of a promo on how impressive he was and offers him a spot on Team Taz. And before Will can even think about it, Darby comes out and kind of wards off the dogs there. I don't think that's the proper way to say that, but basically saves Will from making a mistake joining Team Hobbs. But what did you think of the whole invitation into Team Taz and Darby saving him?
I have to say I didn't really like this. I feel like it's Dark Order's bit to recruit people.
Right. It's their gimmick.
And I kind of felt like this was, hey, you lost, but I thought you were good. Come to the winning team and you'll be a winner. Like, that's Dark Order.
Right.
I feel like Taz's team is more of, I choose you, you don't choose us. And then I groom you to be the best.
Right.
So it was just a bit odd, but I guess they needed something to kind of lead into this Darby Allin run in, and right. I don't know. I could just be overcritical, but it seemed a bit goofy to me.
Well, you know what's funny is that when this was all going down, it just the way Taz was talking on commentary, because I guess it should be mentioned that Taz and Ricky Starks were on commentary during this match. And the whole time they were both talking about how impressive Will Hobbs is. And Will Hobbs gets a really close near fall on Brian Cage. And, it kind of pops Taz like, this is serious business. Brian Cage better figure it out. I know I've complimented Taz before on commentary where he doesn't cheerlead on his guys. He's actually very, very critical of his guys while they're wrestling, which I enjoy. It's something you don't really see with heel commentators. So just the way commentary was going, I couldn't help but feel I'm like, Will Hobbs is going to lose and he's going to offer him a spot. Like, it's just where it was going. So when it happened, I guess I kind of popped because I got it right, which I never get sick of being right. But I love your explanation and how maybe you didn't like it. Like, thinking back, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of Dark Order's thing. It's kind of lame. It could have worked exactly the same if they would have just let Cage and Starks beat up Will Hobbs, and then Darby comes out with the skateboard for the save. It does the same thing.
Right.
And even looks a little bit better. But yeah. Great match. Will Hobbs, he's a force to be reckoned with. He went up against an established champion. For those of you listening on Spotify, I just did air quotes, but FTW is not a real championship. Let's move on. Leading out of this match, we got our first set of celebrity shoutouts. Something we're going to see throughout the night. In this segment, we get Slash of Guns N' Roses, Dennis Miller, a very, very funny comedian from the 90s for anybody who's listening that wasn't born in 2000. Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, this was huge. This broke the internet, at least the wrestling segment of the internet. People were losing their shit that an established New Japan star was on AEW. Just quickly before we get to the last shout out, what did you think of Tanahashi making an appearance on AEW?
Like, who do you think would have a problem with it? New Japan?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
I would feel like because so many of the AEW guys have they were a part of growing New Japan.
Right.
And making it even bigger than it was before they got there, that, they wouldn't be like a WWE.
Right.
And it would just say, hey, this is a personal thing. It's not a wrestling thing, and allow it and whatnot. I guess I don't know enough about who he is that it would be a big deal.
Well, Jericho and Tanahashi had like a 6-star match while Jericho was the Intercontinental IWGP Intercontinental Champion. So they had this like historic match. Apparently, it was way better than Alpha Omega. Apparently, so maybe that's something we got to check out. But I know that they worked together and they have a really good rapport ever since. It kind of confused me why this was so shocking to people. Why I bring it up, because like you mentioned, Omega, the Young Bucks, they were an integral part of New Japan. Many AEW stars have in their contracts that they're allowed to go work in Japan. So there is some sort of working relationship there. And the other reason that I find it not so shocking or what's the big deal is that we're going to see this in a couple weeks. This is exactly what The Rock is doing for Ken Shamrock on Impact. It's just filming a little video saying, congratulations, good on you, love you, brother. And like, what's the big deal? So
like, people should be more shocked about Dennis Miller being on there. Like, is this guy a known wrestling fan? Why Dennis Miller? Was it supposed to be Dennis Rodman and they just filled in another Dennis?
Maybe. No, I want to say Dennis Miller's been a part of Raw in the past.
Okay.
But I can't say for sure. It is kind of shocking. Maybe he has a show on TNT and they just needed somebody. They sent a company-wide memo out. Who wants to film a thing? And maybe Dennis Miller doesn't even know who Jericho is. We don't know. To round out this segment, we had Teddy Irvine, Chris Jericho's dad, former NHL, I don't want to say legend, but I mean, one of the first real like enforcers of the NHL, played with the Kings, most notably the Rangers. I think he might have been in St. Louis at one time too, near the end of his career, but an NHL, staple back in the 70s. I think he's gotten in a few tillies with the likes of Gordie Howe and whatnot. So it was cool to see Teddy Irvin back on AEW. We saw him at the celebration. What was it? Birthday celebration? What was that thing that they did, Inner Circle, and he was in the present? That was all cool. So yeah, this is a good message from Papa Jericho. All right, moving on. Just coming out of commercial break, we got this video package from Lance Archer. We made a mistake last week. We kind of announced that this title match was going to be this week, but it is next week. Sorry about that, but we're really getting into the build of this. It was unfortunate that Lance was in contact with someone with COVID and he had to take his 2 weeks and whatnot and get better. So we kind of lost out on a lot of build for this match. We missed out on the 6-man tag, and 2 weeks since that tag match, there could have been something. So again, we're really only getting this 1 week of build before the match next week. They decided to do these kind of pre-taped video packages. What did you think of Lance Archer in this promo?
I like that he actually did the talking and it wasn't Jake. Mm-hmm. I think it's more impactful that way. And I like that he brings up the fact that this isn't the first time they're going to meet. And he brings I think they showed a little.
They showed clips.
Still photo. Yeah. So I think for like, I was going to say real wrestling fans, but for the wrestling fans that had seen that match, it's getting me pumped up for, okay, right. I want to see what round 2 is going to be like. Cause, it's gotta be nastier.
Right.
It's got to be nastier.
I mean, it's going to be interesting because that match at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, as Lance puts it in this promo. Again, everybody blowing up that New Japan, second time New Japan's been mentioned in on AEW Dynamite. Again, I don't get why they're so surprised about it, but whatever. That match in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom was a Texas death match or something. It was a Texas something. But it was a hardcore match. They had the barbed wire tables out there. They're hitting each other with sticks and chairs, and people were going through tables. I don't think this match coming up next week this is just a straight up championship wrestling match. So yeah, you feel like it needs to be nastier and grittier, but within the confines of the rules of a professional wrestling match, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Listening to the way Archer's talking during this promo and talking about how he's been stewing on this for over a year. Well, not quite a year, but he's been stewing on this. And while Moxley's been living the life of a champion, he's been not doing nothing but working and grinding, and he's coming after Moxley. So, I mean, this really has me thinking, like, if I were to try to throw a prediction out on this match, like, after this promo, I'm really leaning towards Archer. But there was also a Moxley side of the story later on in the show, which we'll get to. So we'll say predictions till the end of the show. But I really like how this promo was done. Moxley's was done very similarly. Yeah, a good point in that Archer was talking and Jake wasn't. He was just doing some weird hand signals in the background. At one point, they had him upside down on the camera. It was even when he doesn't talk, he's still awkward. It's an amazing talent that Jake has. Coming out of this, we get TH2 coming out. They're going up against FTR for the tag team championship match. Again, another 20-minute brush of greatness. What did you think of this match? I gotta put over Jack Evans in this match. Holy shit. He did it all. He sold a leg like it was ready to fall off. Even I'm sure it was a botch, a slip, but if he's literally working this leg or selling this leg, and then he shorts that corkscrew frog splash, whatever he was trying to do near the end of the match, but he comes up short, that's freaking genius.
I rewatched the spot.
Okay.
Where after he was grabbing the leg, and I can't see, unless it was some kind of freak thing, how he could have actually injured himself. So initially when it happened, I thought, oh, like maybe he accidentally, hit it on the announce table or on that barrier on the stage kind of thing, but he wasn't close to it. Like, it was a perfect spot. He flipped on to everyone and they braced him. But yeah, you're right. He did everything. Like, he did the acrobat. He did just, good wrestling moves. We always applaud his kip ups and how he just kind of floats up. And then the selling. Like, I was, when this match started, I was just having supper with my wife, and I'm just like, you got to watch these two because they're really great. And I thought they were the best part of this match.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, it's unfortunate that FTR comes in with so much momentum and so much hype behind them, but they keep getting overshadowed by everybody they're in the ring with. We talked about it a few weeks ago, how they're still working on WWE timing. They're still working off vanilla timing, the vanilla work rate, the whatever you want to call it. They're still kind of in that mindset. Everybody else is coming from the indie mindset, which AEW has a very indie mindset. and they're getting outshined a lot.
Mhm.
I love how their characters are working. I like where they're going, but when it comes to the wrestling, which these guys should be out wrestling everybody, they're just a step behind, and it's showing. And when you get like, the reason I bring up Jack Evans and how well he was selling this match is that these guys are very new school wrestlers. They are spot monkeys. You don't really get that psychology with spot monkeys, but these guys were pulling it off, and they were pulling it off better than the psychology wrestlers. Huge props to TH2. I can't just put all the credit on Evans, and Helico was just as good. It's just we didn't see him as much because Jack was taking all the heat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great match.
You know what? I'm gonna give FTR some credit. They're getting better. I feel like the conditioning is getting better, and they're getting a little bit more used to it. But we made the comparison, was it last week or the week before, that it was very similar to Brody Lee. We didn't like his first few matches, and Brody Lee has obviously hit his stride.
Oh, God, yes.
All of those matches are awesome. So FTR will get there.
Oh, for sure. I don't doubt that. But it's unfortunate if this match was against, insert tag team here, they probably would have come off looking really good because they have improved that much. But they come across TH2 who just outshined them. Like, it's no fault to FTR. It's just, I don't know. I couldn't help but watch TH2 in this match. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, I was going into the match already not even really interested in FTR. So that could be part of it too.
It could be part of it. So, I mean, FTR, they squeak it out. They did the classic heel move at the beginning of the match. Jack Evans was really putting it over on both of them. At one point, they just decide they're going to leave. They walk out. They go to grab their belts. They get in a little bit of a verbal confrontation with the Gun Club, which I thought you'd pop for really, really well because, or really big because you've been kind of gunning for the Gun Club lately. I don't know where,
5-0, baby.
So I thought that's interesting. Maybe that's the next step for a brush of greatness. Maybe the Gun Club finally gets their spot on Dynamite. But FTR did their stuff. They did the heel stuff really well. But after they get the win, rightfully so. They finally work it over on Evans and get the pin. But after the match, this is where it's all about. During this match, I should mention that the Young Bucks were all over. Like, the cameras were constantly on the Young Bucks here. They kept showing them, watching the match backstage. The first time they showed them, they totally ripped on WWE. They were doing where they're like almost watching it backwards, which I thought was funny. The next time they come, they're actually facing the screen, like how you should set that shot up. The monitor that they're watching doesn't need to be perpendicular to the camera. It can be at an angle. We get that you're watching the match. So I'm glad that they made the joke, but I'm glad they just did it properly the next time. But after the match, they go
Hobbs
back.
were also talking about this too. When are we going to see FTR and the Young Bucks?
Right. Yeah. They're really putting that over. So after the match, we come back to the Young Bucks here, and they finally realize that a camera's on them. I thought this was a little hokey. This is a little cheesy. But, it should be noted earlier in the night, Matt Jackson tweeted out, "Who should we super kick tonight?" And they just kind of left it for people to comment on. I don't know if they were actually looking for suggestions and then maybe whoever they said the most they were going to go with, or if it was just a troll and just like a casted the lure out to see if they catch anything. But they realize the camera's on them and they're like, "You spying on us? What the hell, man?" And then boom, super kick to the camera. Camera guy I don't know. I feel like the camera guy did a really good job. The way he fell and his feet kind of come up, like you see him take the bump. I thought it was well done. Just kind of the build and the lead up to it was a little cheesy for me. What did you think of the Young Bucks continuing this progression and kicking a cameraman this time?
Yeah, I think I probably thought the same as you. It was a bit cheesy. They're better than this. Like, just think of different ideas.
Right.
I guess the more original idea, which is what we kind of get to, where okay, they got to pay their money, but then they don't have any money on them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the better part of the bit, but I don't know. I'd like to see them come up with some more unique ways to be defiant.
It doesn't always have to be a super kick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just punch somebody or something. Just be a little bit real with it. Destroy some property. Why does it always have to be somebody you're doing this to? Like, yeah, there are other ways to do it for sure. You think we're going to go to a commercial break here, but instead we come back to the ring and FTR, they're watching this all happen. And then the big screen turns to FTR in hot dog suits with their championship belts. Now, I mean, I got to bury myself a little bit. And I'm like, why would the Young Bucks do that? Just the way that it was shot.
right.
Just the way it was shot. It's like the Young Bucks are up on the screen and then this happens. But then Best Friends come out and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So we get a promo from the Best Friends here, and they're talking about they're trying to spit out the fact that it's a joke on them being weenies because they won't face them.
Get it?
Yeah, do you get it? FTR, do you get it? You got me all mixed up there. It's replaying all those old being the elite episodes in my head. But they're basically calling them chickens and weenies and whatnot for not facing them in that match a couple weeks ago. And they're basically out there. They already got the t-shirts made. I'm just realizing they're wearing the FTR hot dog suit t-shirts. I'm sure that's on sale at AEWshop.com. Cheap plug. But they're basically out there to announce that they ran into Tony Khan on the way out here, and it's official. Next week on the anniversary show of Dynamite, not only are we getting an AEW World Championship match, but we're going to be getting an AEW Tag Team Championship match, FTR versus Best Friends. This isn't a 20-minute Brush with Greatness. We're going to have a 60-minute time limit. It's still going to only be a 20-minute match because it's on TV. But what do you think of this matchup? Are you excited for it? Do you feel like Best Friends have a chance here?
I feel like they do. I feel like they do. If that parking lot match doesn't happen, then I feel like, nah, it ain't gonna happen. But they prove themselves that they're a force in AEW. So I think there's a chance. Not gonna make a prediction quite yet, but what I really liked about this promo from Best Friends is FTR has been on them about being the comedic
backyard
wrestlers. This is all they have, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna embrace it. Orange Cassidy called you guys weenies, so now we're making shirts with you guys as wieners. Right. You get it, So I love that. Yeah, I am excited for it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match. I feel like FTR is almost at a disadvantage. As a viewer going into this match, I just feel like Best Friends they're coming off that amazing parking lot match. FTR being outshined by TH2. They're coming into this match as in a disadvantage in a way. I don't see Best Friends winning the belts on this one, but it's going to look like they're going to win. But I think there's going to be some dirty business. It's going to be a DQ of some sort. I'm hoping this is Sean Spears' introduction into the group. I think it works. Doesn't really make sense because he's been kind of poking jabs at Scorpio. You know, where Scorpio fit into all this. But I didn't like that Sean Spears was poking into Scorpio's business when we saw that last week. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that this is Sean Spears. Apparently, the rumor is Arn Anderson filed for trademarks to get the rights to the name Four Horsemen. It was his brother who came up with the name. Arn Anderson was in the group the longest. WWE never used it. Really? Yeah, no, they never used the Four Horsemen, even when Rick was there. You know what I mean? So, and apparently AEW has the best trademark lawyer in the world. So it's looking pretty good. And I mean, maybe it's next week. Maybe this is where we finally see it. Maybe that's when we go from this to this and everything's right in the world. I mean, I guess, does Tully count in all of this? Or are we still looking for a fourth member, do you think?
Yeah, I
Could
don't
it
know.
still be Hangman? I don't know. Anyways.
I think you're right real quick there that if FTR wins this, it's not going to be clean. And as soon as you said that, I feel like, yeah, it needs to be Sean Spears. It's got to be something big. It's not just, Tully grabs their leg and pulls them out of the ring kind of.
Right. We've seen that already.
Yeah.
It needs to be a little bit more. And I think it would insult Best Friends if that's how they lost. If it was just the dirty pin. I think this needs to be a full-on DQ. Best Friends get the win, but you don't win the belts on a DQ. You know what I mean? I think that's how. Right. I think that's the way they need to go.
Yeah,
all right.
I like it.
Let's move on with the show. We get a second set of shoutouts here. It starts off with MJF cutting a little backstage promo, talking about how much Jericho's meant to him and his career and how much he's learned from him, and basically ends it off with saying, "I might even come out and tell you in person," kind of thing. So I mean, we know Jericho's in the main event in this tag team match against Chaos Project. So yeah, you're just expecting MJF to come out. From there, we get into Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq, Big Diesel himself. He does a shout out. He gets Chris's name wrong on purpose. That was really funny. I like how he did that. Shaq and Jericho have a little bit of history when AEW on TNT was really promoting itself. They were kind of going on all the TNT programs to help promote it. So NBA on TNT had the ring all set up. Jericho came in and he had a good time with Shaq and Barkley. Shaq and Barkley were rolling around in the ring. It was kind of funny to watch. I enjoyed it. From there,
Shaq's a big wrestling fan, eh?
Oh yeah, he's been a part of WrestleMania. He's wrestled the Big Show.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely a part of it. From there, we go on to Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons absolutely buries Jericho here, talking about how he's been on his hands and knees his whole career, but if you're going to be great at something, you might as well be the best. I mean, whatever. It must be an inside joke between them, but yeah, absolutely buries the guy on his big night. From there, we get Don Callis, Winnipeg man himself, leader of the Impact Army. They don't call themselves that. I don't know why I just said that, but he's booking and running Impact now, and he's doing an amazing job. He had some nice words to say. And then Lars Ulrich. I mean, we know Jericho, probably one of the biggest Metallica fans of all time, but ever since Jericho's made his way into the rock business. Him and Lars are actually really good friends. They've done each other's podcast. I've listened to both. These two together are super funny. Jericho, I got to put over here, one of the best Lars impressions I've ever heard. Like, Jericho's impression of Lars might be better than Jim Brewer's. I'm putting that out there. It's amazing. And when he does it to Lars, it's even funnier. Hilarious.
This shout out by Lars was stock to my ears. Just saying.
Whenever I listen to Lars shout out to Jericho, the only word that comes into mind is just fuck. Fuck. Oh, how good was Some Kind of Monster? Love it.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
All right, let's move on. From here, we get this awesome promo package, kind of this little 2-week build that we had for this dog collar match. Really well done. Just got me super amped up. I've been super amped up for this match since it was announced, since it was teased, since Cody came back there a couple weeks ago. Dog collar match for the TNT Championship match. They keep referencing this is the first dog collar match in 31 years. And apparently that last match was this Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Roddy Piper match. This is the last time they've ever done it. And I got confused. During the match, the commentary references they've done strap matches before, but they're tied together at the wrist, where these guys are around their neck. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's the difference. So this is the first time two competitors strapped at the neck with dog collars and a chain in 31 years. And they had Greg the Hammer Valentine sitting in the crowd. What did you think of one of the best bleeders in the business being out there to watch this match?
Yeah, and one of the best heels of my childhood. He looks good. He looks no different than he really did way back then. And he was, I remember as a kid, just one of those guys you hated because everybody was a Hulkamaniac back then.
He's always messing with Hogan, eh?
Yeah.
I still have all my hair. No, he never said that, but it was cool to see. I know of the Hammer. I've seen him, in watching old footage and stuff like that, but he was definitely before my time. I just know that he was the guy that always busted open. It was him and Flair with that blonde hair. They were always busted open. They were always showing color. But definitely I didn't realize I never would have guessed that he was the heel. That's my limited knowledge of the Hammer, but let's get into this match. This was a crazy match. Wow. Definitely went longer than the 3.5 minutes that the first match went. We had some crazy spots. The chain was used. It was used often. Oddly enough, the first person to take a chain bump was Silver. He's standing
and he shows color.
I mean, we should kind of talk about this. We're watching this match together over Skype, as we do, and I'm thinking, like, why is Silver still on the apron? Like, the bell's rung. And then I was like, hey, what do you think the over under is on Cody busting open in this match? And then boom, Silver gets hit with the chain. He busts. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming in a million years. So yeah, Silver sold that for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then Brody kind of just, get this guy out of here, go sit here and stop moving, and he takes another big bump. Oh man, Silver just kills me. I love the guy.
Yeah. But yeah, this was I didn't know what to expect for this match, because obviously we don't see this every day or even once a year. So I was interested to see how they were going to use the chain, and I thought it was pretty creative. Some things that we would have expected based on things we saw in the Valentine Piper match.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was brutal at some points. It was brutal at some points. When I think it was Cody gets busted open, Brody takes that chain and just rubs it into the wound, and yeah, we hear JR say the magic words.
So, well, he said it for Silver. Actually, first. So Silver busts open and he's got 3 little trickles of blood coming down his forehead. And Jericho's like, "Oh, it's a crimson mask." I'm like, "What? You're pulling that out for that?" I can't remember what match we were watching. I think it was the parking lot match, wasn't it? And someone had a face full of blood in that match and he didn't say shit. Anyways, yeah. So he pulled out Crimson Mask a few times because Cody had a face full of blood. Brody Lee has a face full of blood by the end of this match. Yeah, it was.
Who
brutal.
do you think took the worst of this? Like, who do you think was feeling?
I gotta say, Brody took some nasty bumps. So
I thought so too.
Brody busts open on this DDT onto the chain. I like that, the commentary was amazing during this match. I can't put those guys over enough. But they're like, "Oh, I think he got that DDT on the chain." They weren't sure. And then sure enough, Brody comes up and he's bleeding. And they're like, "Oh, he must have got the chain." Like, they just sold everything in this match so well. I loved the commentary during this match. I was pissed off that when the table got set up, that the table spot happens during picture-in-picture. And I mean, luckily enough that we up here in Canada got to see picture-in-picture, because it's usually about 50% that we actually get it.
Hit and miss.
It's hit and miss. But still, like, save that. Was it a timing thing? Were they going a little bit too fast? They were supposed to save that for after they got back live. I don't know, but yeah, I was kind of pissed off that we were kind of cheaped out on that spot. Sure, they replay it back, but it's not the same.
Yeah, and we weren't the only ones. I follow AEW Official on Reddit, and there was a lot of people making comments about that.
Right, rightfully so.
Because it was a big spot and done really well. Yeah, I agree. I think Brody got his ass kicked. Like those whipping Brody on the back, and then after that, like Cody was constantly wrapping that chain around his fist and punching him in the chest, and yeah, it's crazy.
I can't remember what I was gonna bring up there, but it was about 3/4 of the way through this match that I kind of mentioned. I'm like Cody was really going to town at this point. Like, he was the one pushing the pace at this point. And I kind of posed the question to you while we were watching. I'm like, do you think Cody has a chance at this? Like, I just don't see Brody Lee being this, especially after all the shit that he took in WWE in the Vanilla brand. He comes over here and he's being a great champion. I think he worked that heel champion well. Do you see him being this 2-month transitional champion just so Cody can go do his freaking America's Got Talent show and then come back and take the title back? Like, do you see that being a thing? And I think we both agreed that, like, we didn't see that coming from a mile away.
Well, I was on the fence. Because when I do up the plan here, I kind of put who I think is going to win in already.
Right.
And this one I didn't. I really didn't know. And I want to say at the point where you asked it, I was thinking Cody was getting too much offense. That we were going to get the comeback from Brody and then the win.
The scrape that's by what win, it felt like. In a way,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Cody, proved that the 3 minute was a fluke
Right.
But, you know, Brody's still the champ. So yeah, it was pretty shocking. It was pretty shocking, kind of how it all turned out.
You know, Cody hit some big moves at the end. We get a crossroad that goes into a false finish, and then a little bit later he uses Big Brother's move. You know, it's funny because I called it the final cut while we were watching. I'm like, no, that's what it's called in WWE because Goldust was doing the director thing. Final cut makes sense. And then I thought, yeah, it's called the Final Reckoning. And then Tony Schiavone, oh, it's the final cut. And I'm like, what? Hits the final cut, brings him back up, hits him with the crossroads. And yeah, 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if you noticed my face because when I share the screen, I think I go small for you. But I was just like, I could not believe it. My jaw hit the desk. And new. Cody is once again a TNT champion. Obviously, he was the first TNT champion. Brody being the only other one, Cody becomes the first 2-time champion. From here, you know, the whole Nightmare family comes out. There's a big congratulations. Tony immediately comes to the ring. I think the whole Dark Order came out to try to start some business, or did they just go straight to?
And they did really well because they kind of came out slow, and you can see Stu Grayson like kind of hitting Uno, saying like why aren't you going there faster? Like
Right.
And then he starts running, and they get him out. Yeah. It was just it all happened so fast, and it's shocking and. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I like it. I like that it's not predictable.
Oh, for sure. They totally caught me on that one. Absolutely. I thought this was Brody all the way. So the whole Nightmare family's in the ring. Dark Order's carrying the Exalted One out. I'm glad that they didn't really focus on that on the camera. It was kind of just happening behind it because I think that really buries Brody Lee in a way that he's being like carried out by his minions. Tony's in the ring. We get this babyface promo because I mean even us ourselves talked about it when Cody comes out with the dark hair and the dark suits. You feel that he's going to take a darker path, and I mean we were excited that Cody was going to go down a darker path. Everybody else in the Elite was taking a darker path, but he cuts this really awesome babyface promo talking about just because my hair is a different color and just because I'm wearing a different suit doesn't mean I'm turning my back on you guys. I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, just like you guys, and I'm not turning my back on you. And I mean, Cody's the only one lately who can get me a little misty in the eyes, and he had me feeling it. I'm like, thank you, Cody. I love you. Thanks for saving us from the Dark Order. It was great. I think it was awesome. What did you think of the promo after the match?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good, and it's another swerve again. Because I'm thinking we're not the only people that were assuming this is where Cody was going, is that he was going to turn heel. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And then he says, I'm going right back to being that fighting champion, and next week I'm going to defend it on the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, and Tony asks, well, you know, who's it going to be? And the music hits. Orange Cassidy comes out. He fell short in his championship match against Brody Lee. I thought he did well. I'm a little on the fence on this decision that it's going to be Orange Cassidy facing Cody because he just had a title shot already. It's like it a little doesn't make sense, but I mean, I'm always excited to watch Orange Cassidy in the ring. He's done so much since his time in AEW to prove himself that he's not just, you know, the sloth and he's more than a gimmick. So yeah, always excited to see Orange Cassidy, and we're gonna get 3 title title shots next week. It's gonna be it's a pay-per-view worthy show once again. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I mean it's the 1 year, so we'd expect it to be a huge show.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's keep the show rolling. From here, we get a backstage interview with Kenny Omega where, we get a promo package first off announcing 3 more names to this 8-man title tournament, number 1 contendership tournament to see who's going to be next in line to face for the AEW World Championship. We already know Kenny Omega, Rey Fenix, and who's the other one? Oh, I can't think of it. I'm blanking.
Did you say Kenny Omega?
Yeah, Kenny Omega,
Rey Fenix,
and I'm totally blanking.
Is it Colt Cabana?
No, Colt Cabana was announced on this set.
Oh,
I can't remember who it was. Scorpio Sky? No. I can't remember. Let us know. Anyways, from
I'll
here,
look it up while you're talking.
Sure. From here, we now know that it's going to be Wardlow, Colt Cabana, and Hangman Adam Page is announced. And I'm telling you, I told you back then, I don't like this move at all.
Sorry, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's a wasted opportunity, right?
Yeah, it is.
The other competitor was Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy, thank you. So
Yeah,
we got Jungle Boy, Rey Fenix, Kenny Omega. Now we know that it's Wardlow, Colt Cabana, Hangman Adam Page. And like I was saying, I don't like that they're announcing Hangman Page here because I think that's a wasted opportunity. They had something good with the way when Kenny was announced, Hangman kind of sulks and he goes off. You know, they sold it on being the elite, that he's upset about this. We still have 2 more competitors to announce. We could have sold this for another week, another 2 weeks. He could have been the last one announced, and then it's a surprise to Kenny. But instead, they announced Hangman now. We get this interview with Kenny, and I mean, I gotta bury the guy here. Kenny needs to not be being the elite Kenny on Dynamite. Like, this interview was horrid. If this is how you do interviews and promos in America, maybe just go full heel and do them in Japanese, because you were way better at those. Like, seriously, this was bad. And I don't know, like, how many times does he say Hangman Adam Page in this promo? Like 19 times? 2 or 3 times is okay, but 19 times?
I wonder if that's what he meant to do. Almost like the impression I got is, I'm gonna pretend it doesn't bother me, but I'm gonna make you see that it bothers me.
Oh, okay.
That's how I took it. I didn't think it was a great promo. I don't like BTE Kenny Omega either, and right. I've expressed that on this show before. But I think what he was going for was this. Yeah, you know what? I've been in tournaments. I've won them all. Doesn't matter who you give me. I'm going to win this. But it's, yeah, him mentioning Paige all the time is like, it actually does bother me, and I'm a bit worried about it.
Okay. I never took it that
I just didn't think he executed it well enough.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe if he executes it a little bit better, I get what he's saying. So, needless to say, Hangman Adam Page is in this tournament, and I got to... As soon as this happened, Twitter updates, and we get an official statement coming from Hangman Adam Page. And it reads, I'm going to try to rip through this whole thing as quickly as I can because it's actually super funny. But or release as soon as they say it on Dynamite. Already just off to a great start. I think that's so funny. Hangman Adam Page to enter the tournament to name a number one contender for the AEW World Championship. After deep contemplation about half a bottle of scratch bourbon whiskey and chucking a dozen watermelons at a red oak out the back of a pickup, Hangman Adam Page has decided to enter the single elimination tournament to decide a number one contender for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. Hangman Adam Page has dictated his reasons for entering as follows. The tournament could provide Hangman Adam Page with his first opportunity to challenge for the AEW World Championship since his catastrophic and embarrassing loss to Chris Jericho at All Out 2019. As a child, Hangman Adam Page, now this is in parentheses, unintelligible, the voicemail developed into a slurred monologue with the occasional yell followed by 2 minutes of silence. I'm assuming this is like Hangman's lawyer providing this statement for us. Hangman Adam Page thinks that the AEW World Championship is the best looking championship, even more detailed and shiny than the tag team championships. It would look cool as Hangman's big ass belt buckle. To get ready for this sure to be grueling tournament, Hangman Adam Page will be preparing with the following. To get his body into better shape, Hangman Adam Page will reduce his whiskey intake by only drinking every other day. Hangman Adam Page will continue to wear a mask in public, wash his hands, and social distance to avoid contracting COVID-19 to preserve the integrity of his lungs and his character. That's very noble of Hangman to do that.
Yeah.
Hangman Adam Page will take virtual slackline lessons to better understand the way Phoenix of the Lunch Brothers, in parentheses, the Lucha Brothers, question marks, the way Ray Phoenix bounces around on the ropes before hitting a maneuver. I love that one. That was a good one.
The Lunch Brothers.
The Lunch Brothers. Hangman Adam Page will begin making up reasons to hate Colt Cabana. Despite his alignment with the Dark Order, he has always been kind to Paige. Evil Uno was nice recently too, dissuading the rest of the Dark Order from attacking Paige during their match. Damn, that was weird. Hangman Adam Page will make an even further attempt to strengthen his religion so that he can pray to God that he doesn't have to face Wardlow with his big ass muscle tits. To prepare for the possibility of winning the tournament, Hangman Adam Page will begin watching Renee's Instagram stories to learn current champion Jon Moxley's weaknesses. Page will also attempt to soften challenger and possible champion Lance Archer with flattery, frequently finding excuses to tell him how handsome he's looking on Dynamite days. And then the rest doesn't really mean anything, but you guys can look up the the statement for yourselves. Do you think
he writes this himself?
I wonder. It's curious. But I mean, that's brilliant. I friggin' chuckled when I read that on Twitter. And like I said, this posted like literally the moment it went live.
Yeah. I feel like this is his wit. He probably writes it himself.
Oh, for sure. I agree. So yeah, that's really good stuff coming out of Hangman. But let's move on. We get another matchup. This was announced basically the day before, I think. That we were going to get it was like a bonus match for Jericho 30. We got Big Swole going up against new signee Serena Deeb. I don't even want to talk about this match. It's no offense to these ladies, but I mean, it was rough. It was rough to watch, and I'm not trying to bury anybody here, but I'm just Swole is not interesting to watch in the ring.
Yeah, I was excited about this match because I really liked Deeb in the other matches that she had, and yeah, this one didn't come off very well. I don't know. Yeah, is it a timing thing or whatever? That whole kind of awkward moment in the corner.
Yeah,
about halfway through, I couldn't watch.
Like
so
I could feel the intensity that Serena Deeb was trying to put out there. Like, she was doing her part, but for whatever reason, Swole was never in the right spot. You know, maybe I got to go back and watch it again. Maybe I shouldn't put all the blame on Swole, but I mean, when we look back at these past matches that these two ladies have had, Deeb's matches have been really good and Swole's haven't. So, but
yeah, don't go back. There's better things to do.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for saving me the 5 minutes. So yeah, not a great showing by Swole or Deeb. I mean, I'm sure they'll bounce back, but it was weak. It was weak. Let's move on. From here, we get Moxley's answer to the Lance Archer promo that we saw earlier in the night. I mean, like I said earlier, this was filmed very similarly. Just John being John. He really thrives in these where I don't know, he can take his time and he can say things the way he wants to say. He can really work it out and make it perfect. I like this. He's sitting at a bar. I'm assuming it's in Vegas, like back home somewhere, and he's just talking at the bar, and again, we're seeing clips. I think we see even more stills of that match at Wrestle Kingdom during this promo. So yeah, just great stuff. Yeah, we missed out on a proper build for this match, but again, AEW comes to bat for these guys and puts together some really good stuff for us. And yeah, I'm excited for this match. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And I mean, the stipulations could change.
They could.
So yeah, I'm looking for a really brutal match.
You got to assume that this is going to be the main event next week. So
right.
We have all show for something to go down where this becomes an impromptu fucking, hardcore match of some sort.
And I mean, look at AEW's track record of big matches. They don't even get counted out and they're outside the ring for 45 minutes.
Right.
So
yeah.
Let's see that bat with the barbed wire. Why not?
Yeah, I like it. I'm super excited. I can't wait for next week. Let's move on. We get our last set of celebrity shoutouts. This time we get lifelong friend, I guess. For they started in the business together. They had their first matches together against each other. Lance Storm, the other half of the Thrill Seekers, was the tag team that they had with Jericho. He had some awesome words to say. We got Kevin Smith, a newer friend of Jericho's. They do podcasts together. They'll do each other's show all the time. They're really awesome to listen to. Eli Roth is another good friend of Jericho's. Gabriel Iglesias and Chavo Guerrero Jr. via internet feed with Gabriel. Steel Panther, friends in the rock and roll side of things. Ultimo Dragon, and Jericho's childhood hero himself, Paul Stanley. Even if I became friends with one of my childhood heroes and it was like regular business to have conversations, I think I would still lose my shit if that hero of mine said some kind words to me about an accomplishment, a milestone. I just think that's so cool that Jericho has been in a position to have that kind of shit happen to him. So yeah, really cool. What did you think overall of all these celebrity shout outs and who they got to do them?
I want to say that I'm guessing Jericho picked these people because like a lot of these guys are his friends. They do his podcast. He talks about them on his podcast. So yeah, I think it's cool, and yeah, that's
really the only one I can
say about it.
The only one that doesn't make sense is Dennis Miller. Like we're missing something, I feel like.
Well, what about Fluffy? I don't get that one.
Oh, they're
Are they
friends.
friends?
Yeah. They
Oh,
do.
okay.
Fluffy's been on Talk is Jericho a couple times.
Okay.
So
I must have skipped that one.
maybe. I think I might have skipped it too, but
Yeah,
anyways.
Dennis Miller. If somebody knows that connection, put it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Give us record an anchor message. Tell us
Dennis Miller, if you're listening.
The 5 degrees of Chris Jericho.
That'd be great. All right, and this leads us right into the main event. We got Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, the 30-year man himself, Jake Hager going up against Chaos Project, Luther, Serpentico. We got the awesome promo package from Jericho talking about how big of an influence Luther was on his career, and we're finally going to see them lock horns after their last touching in like 1991 or whatever it is that they talked about. What did you think of this match?
I like that they were the focal point of this match. I can't even say I remember Jake Hager even being in this match. Yeah, it was short, it was sweet. I liked that Luther got much of the upper hand in this one, and then Jericho kind of gets it in the end. But just a short and sweet match, and I thought it was good.
I like that they teased us a little bit where Serpentico started the match instead of Luther. Right. Jericho started the match, so you almost wanted to have that face off in a way, but they kind of teased us with it, and they eased us in, and they did it so smoothly that I didn't even realize that there was the tag in. Like, I totally missed it. I was just like, it's just like I was watching another match. It was naturally done, I guess, in a way. I feel like maybe if there was a crowd there, that when Serpentico tags in Luther and then we get that face off, there would have been a big pop, kind of like in the anticipation that these two are gonna, lock up for the first time in so many years. So
right,
I like how they did that.
I wonder if you didn't notice, because Serpentico usually starts the matches in a Chaos Project match.
Right. Yeah, maybe. I agree with you. I don't remember Hager really being a part of this. I just feel like everything was on Jericho in this match.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. But yeah, it was solid. I like the end of this match where, Hager and Serpentico are almost taking each other out. The rest of Inner Circle was there. There were some crazy leaps off top ropes, over the ropes from Serpentico and Luther. Luther had a little bit of trouble getting up to that top rope on the first spot, but he made up for a nice smooth one on the second attempt as he takes a big crossbody on Jericho. I thought that was great, but after everybody kind of gets taken out at that instance, it's really just the Jericho Luther show, and they have themselves like a little 3-minute match with everything on them. And we had a little bit of a conversation before this match started where it's just like, well, who wins? Does Jericho put Luther over in this position? He put him over constantly in the promos. Does he do it in the match as well? And I kind of felt like, why not? Jericho doesn't need it right now, but Luther could benefit huge. But I think just having the solid match and Luther really pushing the pace for a lot of the match, that maybe that's enough of a rub. And I think that's the way they went. Jericho hits the Judas effect out of nowhere and gets the 1, 2, 3. I mean, I thought they pulled this match off really well. I like that everybody else was taken out and the focus was on them.
And I was wondering how Luther might take a Judas effect, and I thought that was probably one of the best moves of the match.
Yeah, he kind of like stiffed himself in a way when he took it, and it looked really good. After the match, though, Jericho grabs the mic right away. I feel like I feel like this was all a little rushed for time. If the whole sequence after the match felt rushed, but Jericho, cut my music, and you think you're gonna get this, kind of heartfelt, almost breaking kayfabe type promo for the crowd that was there in attendance. Thanking everybody for the 30 years of support and all that stuff. But we get interrupted by MJF. As we alluded to earlier in the show, he kind of foreshadowed that he was going to come out. This was not well done. As bad as the jacket spot was last week, this was worse. I mean, the sheet over the person, you could see him walking, Wardlow trying to help him get through the ropes while there's sheets on him. It was just bad. And then MJF's trying to stall till they get set up, but everything feels rushed at the same time. So the timing of everything was awkward. Yeah, and then Wardlow almost ruins the reveal.
Right. Let's count it down. He's already taken the sheet off.
Yeah. Everybody say it with me. 5. And Wardlow's like, oh, shit. So, I mean, I get what they were doing, and I think this was really for MJF. This was kind of really all about MJF, but just not very well executed. I think... I don't know what I really don't know what to think. I think we could have did without this.
Yeah. I don't like it at all, and I'll tell you for one reason. The Nation of Domination did this.
Yes.
The Rock did this.
Yeah.
Exact thing. We knew what that second gift was going to be. It was going to be a poster of MJF. The Rock did the exact same thing. It was like word for word. So I didn't like that.
The Rock still does this. Every year, he sends D'Lo Brown, Godfather, and Mark Henry watches. Lately they've been, Fitbits. Now they're iWatches. But every year he gets those guys watches and then sends Farouk a picture of himself. Every year. This is a story that Mark Henry told in an interview. So they never have to go a year without buying they never have to buy a watch because The Rock will always buy him a watch, and then Farouk gets a picture of The Rock. I love it. But yeah, you're right. We've seen this, and we saw it coming from a mile away, which just ruins the whole segment altogether anyways. But Jericho
saves it though.
He does save it. This picture's great, and then boom. Again, this kind of ties into how everything was rushed. I feel like Jericho could have said a little more, but I like that he's just like, oh yeah, this is great. And then hits the clown. What was the clown's name?
Clownico Le Clown?
Not a very, I don't know. Yeah,
no,
everything about this segment was kind of trash, but yeah.
But the best part, and if you didn't catch this, go watch it again. The Judas effect on this clown is the stiffest Judas effect. I don't think this clown was at the production meeting, did not know this was going to happen. He gets rocked. I'm going to say he is a stable condition at a hospital in Jacksonville.
We're still waiting for him to wake up.
Yeah, he had an MRI today. That's a stiff Judas effect.
Yeah, I think it caught him a little out of nowhere. Again, things felt rushed, so maybe he thought there was going to be 2 or 3 more beats before it was coming, or maybe he didn't know it was coming at all. Jericho loves to improvise while he's out there. So then we get a stare down between MJF and Jericho, and we think, okay, is this when it's all going to blow up? But they swerve us. And again, we've seen this before, much like the spot that we saw in November or December when Jericho and MJF do their little shtick. This is basically the Jericho Kevin Owens relationship arc if you will. Like, we've seen this already. We're just seeing it on AEW. It's coming off short. It's coming up short with me because I have seen it already.
Right.
But with that being said, I mean,
and we're gonna see it next week. MJF says that he has a big announcement next week.
Right.
And he wants Chris Jericho there. So this Jericho MJF thing will keep going.
For sure. I mean, we mentioned last week. Last week was a bit of a stinker. It was a better show than 2 weeks ago. How bad that show was, but we had really high expectations for this Jericho 30. I feel like it came up a little short, to my expectations. They promoted the hell out of this. I thought maybe I came into it with too high of expectations, but it was still a really great episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed it, except for that Swole match, but other than that, it was great. What were your overall thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I missed a bit of the beginning, but that dog collar match was really good. Took up a lot of time, which is probably why things were rushed. But next week we're gonna have a slobber knocker. I think we got John Moxley, Lance Archer, FTR, Best Friends, Miro and Kip are going to be in action, and Cody versus Orange Cassidy. Like, I think that's got to be good.
It's going to be a huge night. Again, I'm going to try to not be too hyped for this episode, so this upcoming week, so that maybe I'm not so disappointed. Well, not that I was disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I can't say it like that, but it just wasn't the knockout show that I wanted it to be. But it was a great show. Like you said, we got a big show coming up next week. It is the official 1 year anniversary of Dynamite. Exciting stuff. Just want to remind everybody that we are available. The podcast is available on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. If you have something else you're using, we're probably on it. Just search for Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. Want to thank everybody for listening this week and watching on YouTube. And we'll see you next week, as always. So with that, peace out and go fuck yourself, Cornette.